Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's take another look here at SUI, see what's going on. And if you aren't already familiar with my playout chart here from before, it did actually favor the less likelihood of the two options. In other words, Bitcoin broke free from its little resistance range there at the 102K and pushed a lot higher than it should have based on positive FOMC meeting results. And then of course, the realism setting in, prices actions starting to come back down. Bitcoin's exhibiting the same behavior here in a lot of ways. So I would say that SUI is in a lot of cases here fairly concurrent with Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin continues lower, we can expect that 350 sub 350 range to get tested here. But at this point, I would say until we close soundly above $4, 405, there's no real reason to consider a long. I know it seems crazy and weird, and actually, truthfully, right now, sorry, when you see this here, there is somewhat of a support range here at that 390 range. We've talked about that previously. In fact, one of my dollar cost average targets was 393 originally. So that is an area we want to pay attention to. So anyways, just kind of throwing some thought out there for you so you kind of see what's going on. I'll obviously update our playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. If you're watching this video, the playout chart's already available. That'll be available here if you're not familiar. And thank you again to the wonderful support from my community. It was an awesome experience, birth of my child, and I'll never forget it. And I won't forget all the wonderful support too from everyone as well. You guys are awesome, guys and gals alike. But either way, my wife has taken the brunt of it there. She's handling it like a champ. Super awesome, and very fortunate to have her there to allow me to get some rest and get some analysis up here for you all. So let's take a look at the back end data here first with SUI, kind of work our way down, go from there, see what's going on. Because when we look at liquidation, we can recognize that there are some pockets above and below the price. This is very common for this coin because people are very heavy in the positions that they take, which is unfortunate, but also par for the course. In other words, we've got some high leverage shorts here at about 427 while they're in profit. It's still a high risk, but I kind of get it because Bitcoin did top out pretty well at that 105 to 106K range. You can see that in my current playout chart here. You'll notice that this resistance range here, macro resistance of 105 to 106, held very strong, okay? And that's a pretty significant number there from both past and present, that 106K. Until we close soundly above 105 or 106, I don't think we really have like a bullish type of scenario on our hands. And even if this coin here too, breaking its descending trend line, while that's all well and good, we're back underneath the 50-day SMA on the 4-hour. That's not really great. Either way, we're gonna look at some stuff here on the charts, but just throwing it out there and let you know here that there's still some heavy concentrations. We got 340 for some longs there that could get destroyed here soon. And the price pumps up. Those shorts at 430 to 460 would also be the next targets. Again, keep in mind, liquidation levels are good to know because those are areas in which you want to secure profits in either direction. So if you're going to take a long hypothetically and the price moves up, secure profits between 425 and 430. Don't get greedy at like $5 or $6. It's just not the market for that right now. While you get it lucky occasionally, it's not the consistent scenario there. All right, so bigger picture here, we can see majority of all liquidation has been swept. Again, that 350 level was a pretty hard hit for a lot of people. A lot of longs got destroyed there. But we look here, we got some late longs at 340 to 345. That's par for the course. Again, high leverage idiots are going to consistently do that. Crazy thing is, they're in profit right now, and they're probably not going to secure profits, and they're probably going to get destroyed just because they're super greedy. So again, for the love of all that's awesome in trading, make sure you just adjust your stop loss higher as the price goes up. It's simple as that. Walk away in the green. Who cares if your trade gets stopped out early in profit? That's a good thing. You got to recognize that. People don't understand that nowadays because they just see a bunch of other idiots online posting these phenomenal results, but they're not sharing with you how many times they get destroyed. To give you perspective, we had 3 shorts open this week. One had to close, one is in profit, and then the other one's at break even. Right? It's not the most favorable conditions. And the truth is, waiting, taking breakout trades is very, very high risk, but some of them are working here and there. But it's not consistent. My trading strategy, although it hasn't been phenomenal this last month, I'll admit, the last 7 to 8 months prior to that were awesome. You're going to have these ups and downs, right? You got to kind of weather the storm. Truth is, waiting for confirmation is always going to be the best way to go, even though you're going to find a lot less opportunities. And lately, we get a lot of false breakouts. All the more reason why I pay attention to trend lines. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Take a look here, though. First of all, liquidation delta. People are heavier on shorts than they are longs. Perfectly sensible. I get that. I actually side with that for the moment. Same thing here as well when we look at open interest. We kind of take a look at the most amount of open interest, and this is actually a good thing for people who are considering longs. We got a lot of support at this 380 range. This is where people are, you could say, hedged the most. We have the most amount of positions open at 380. So what does that mean for us? Well, if we travel into that 380 range, we're likely to see a pivot or a bounce because people are going to be adding to their position or effectively wanting to save their trade or keep their trade or at the very least break even, right? So a lot of times you'll see that work as a support. Good news is we're above, I would say, majority of this. I mean, obviously there's some late longs at 420 who are absolutely in the water right now, but majority of the people that are in the 360 to 380 range are in the green, and that gives us more support. So while that's not like an indicative sign, it is indicative in a lot of ways of the fact that we're above somewhat of a support range, and the likelihood of going below that is lower, pending Bitcoin doesn't drop like a rock. Okay. Keep in mind these little arrows here. I've been posting dollar cost average targets, DCA targets, and again the 350 and 293 roughly are those two areas of consideration. While that may or may not ever come to pass, it's good to be prepared to set your limit orders just in case, because I've gotten filled twice at 350 when the price wicks down to that level, just to give you a perspective. All right, so SMAs, when we take a look here, we can recognize that we got the price action still below the important moving averages. So me personally, I'm not going to want to take a long until this 450 range. I know it seems crazy and outrageous, but that's just how you're supposed to use trend lines. It's never going to be perfect, and obviously there's a lot of meat and potatoes between now and then, and the price could literally go up to that level tomorrow. But I'm going to feel good knowing that I didn't take a high risk trade. That's the difference between me and maybe another trader. Granted, I'll probably be not in profit, and they would be, but they're also taking a higher risk trade and more likely to find less success. Again, I'm just speaking out loud here. That doesn't mean the exact scenario exists right now, but that is essentially the concept. So let's look. Is this worth taking a long position from the larger time frames? While we can see RSI getting closer to 50, it's still under 50. That's a resistance. Money flow index is super low. Commonly, we're going to see a bounce or a pivot when when the money flow index gets that low. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of a pump here just because there's too much selling and not enough buying. Right? Plus, we're getting close to that 380 support range based on open interest. Those are all positive. However, MACD is trying to converge, hasn't yet. While stochastic is swinging up, we're underneath a lot of resistance, so it's kind of a mixed bag here, right? Generally a little more bearish than bullish, but still not something I want to take a long into. Now, do I take longs with the bearish daily timeframes? I still do, yes. But they have to be very, very promising hourly and 4-hour timeframes for me. So let's see here. Where are we at right now? Well, first of all, the price action is currently underneath the 20 and the 50-day SMA. So if you can't see that, it's this guy right here where the orange is my 50 and the green is my 20-day SMA. That's usually where I like to draw my trend line. So with us being below that, I'm not feeling super comfortable with that, right? We also got this previous support / resistance zone at 407. So if we close above that 407 mark, what that would do for us, that would give us, we'd be establishing higher highs and higher lows, and we'd be in a much better position. So me personally, if I'm going to take a trade, I'm going to want to see something like this. This is where I'm going to want to get in. Right? I don't like to get in here because there's so much pressure here of selling that there's a likelihood of the price going down. It's actually higher, okay? So please recognize that. While it's all well and good, you can draw out any chart that you want that seems very promising and forgiving. Don't fool yourself into taking a trade that doesn't exist, right? Or at least a good quality trade. For right now, while we are making higher highs and higher lows, it is not an official break of the trend, right? Again, for the most part, that's what you're looking for. It is technically a trend reversal, but there's a lot of weak signs here that we're seeing that are not really worth taking a consideration. First of all, MACD is diverging. Of course, we know that from a momentum standpoint, it's not good. Money flow index pulling back, RSI under 50. So generally speaking, we see a lot of selling pressure. People feel like this coin is undervalued, and in general, they're going to want to buy this dip. But there's more selling pressure than there is buying pressure, and the price will probably go lower. Again, a lot of it hinges on Bitcoin and how well this coin does. Okay, as you can see, SUI moves down with it. So there's a lot of correlations here, and it's important to be up on par with your Bitcoin analysis or mine, whatever you want to do, and make sure you understand generally what direction the market's heading. Bitcoin is showing a little bit of strength, but that was mainly because of that pump and dump based on the Fed rate meeting. Okay, so when that stuff happens, things always get a little wonky. But the realism, I think, is coming in here where we're probably going to see further downside for Bitcoin. Ichimoku Cloud here is letting us know too that we're underneath this momentous type of cloud, effectively lagging spans free and clear, conversion lines below baseline. Most coins are exuding the same behavior here, saying that it's not really ideal to take a long position. You have too much opposition. Taking a long makes very little sense. All right. So again, to those of you who are considering a long right now, feel free to do so. It's perfectly fine. It works out. I'm super happy for you. But you got to recognize if you're doing so, it's a higher risk trade, and this just carries inherently lower lower success rate. So that's okay if that is your style. But again, I can tell you, after being in the industry for over 20 years as a trader, having like a lot of success with higher risk trades will only create bad habits. Okay, so just recognize that in the long run. It's great if it works for now, but don't think it's going to work forever. In fact, there's some people lately, because of how the market's been highly manipulative, and every time we get confirmation the price turns around, some people are trying to actually take the opposite trade effect of what I'm telling them to do. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. It'll probably work for a little bit, but I can assure you over the long run, again, I probably have only 1 or 2 bad months per year. It's going to come back and bite you in the butt. So please, again, just use this thing on your shoulders. It's called a brain, and it's important. All right, folks, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you again so much for watching. That's all we got here for today. I'll post again a playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. And once more, thank you again to my community for the amazing support. And I know we haven't had like the greatest success here, but hey, we took a Solana short here recently, and that was very much in profit. But look at all this, man. 1.5 billion sold, etc. Like, it is just a nonsense market. So please understand, folks, you got to be careful trading out there. All right, thanks again. We'll see you again soon. Take care.